Hey there, I'm Kevin Downey, and I run an agency called Kevin M. Downey, where we help B2B companies with their sales and marketing efforts. You can visit our website at kevinmdowney.com. Okay, today's topic, this is a big one. The most common thing we deal with in my agency, and of course we do, recruiting and training of reps, both sales and business development, but also email marketing to drive companies' inbound leads, and then, of course, full-blown consulting. But in working in these things for the past 10 years and almost exclusively with business-to-business companies, business development, lead generation, appointment setting is without question the number one pain point that almost all companies have, B2B companies have. So what I want to talk about today is very important. How do you build a repeatable, scalable lead generation and appointment setting system for your B2B company? So keeping this really short, first thing we want to do is the general solution is going to be high volume automated outbound email. And I talk about email in depth in a lot of videos and a couple of podcasts. I'm not going to dig into the rabbit hole of that today, but high volume automated email to drive inbound leads. Remember, with email, we're not marketing to people. We're trying to get direct, we're doing direct response. We're trying to get leads, right? So you've got to do email correctly. And again, I talk about that in some other videos, but high volume automated email, by our definition, be 20,000 or more a month, okay? Plus your reps, whether it's your sales team, your business development, sales development team, they are dealing with both inbound leads from automated email and then doing their outbound, their cold outreach. And again, that can be your sales team handling it all. It could be BDR, SDR team, and or a combination of those. That is the general solution that you want to build, okay? Now, before I dig into that in detail a little bit, when is this not the solution? So if there's just a couple of scenarios where high volume automated email and a rep team is not the solution in B2B in that combination. And that's going to be when you have a very limited prospect list. So in the thousands. If you have just thousands, I would not use automated email. I would make that purely a manualized rep thing. So all rep cold outreach, no automated email whatsoever. The other situation where I would say it's not the solution is if we're dealing with a mid-market or enterprise company that has a full sales team territorially or in territories across the United States, and they've got 500, 1,000, maybe 1,500 prospects to go after individually. I would let them do all that outreach on their own manually. I would not conflate things with automated email because you can get things crossed up and messaging crossed up, and you don't want to do that because you don't know what exactly the rep is doing. So I don't want automated email because the value at that, when you're dealing with those size sales teams, it makes more sense to have those sales teams do their own prospecting. Again, when they've got like 500 or 1,000 in a territory to go after, very narrow audience, I would much rather they do that outreach entirely on a manualized basis. I don't want high volume automated email going when they're doing that, okay? But that's really the only two circumstances. Okay, so in most B2B companies, though, the solution is high volume automated email plus a rep team, reps dealing with inbound and then doing targeted outbound, okay? So the question is, should that be sales or should it be a BDR, SDR team that is dealing with those inbound leads initially and then doing their own outbound? Okay, and this is a really, really important topic. And it's one of the things I see and deal with on a day-to-day basis in dealing with clients, both on the recruiting side in our agency and working with clients, but also on the email marketing side, because it is very important to dig in and ask, what does the size of your prospect list look like? Let's build that in Apollo or Zoom Info. What does it look like in terms of total number of contacts? How many sales reps do you currently have? How are they compensated? What is their base salary and OTE if they hit their numbers? So all of those things become really, really important because one of the things I don't want in modern B2B sales team building with marketing via email to drive inbound leads, and then again doing targeted outbound on a manualized basis. One of the things I don't want is I don't want really expensive sales reps doing cold outreach and doing research to find decision makers. That doesn't make any sense anymore. In a modern B2B sales team structure, we add sales when we have, in general, when we have the inbound leads and the appointments for that sales person or sales team. So in other words, we start with the outbound. If we're dealing with a startup and a principal doing sales, for example, in a company, and they come to us and say, okay, what do we need to do next? You need to do high volume automated email on the outbound side, drive inbound leads, and then of course move those leads to you as a principal to do the sales, right? So and then of course you could have a BDR, SDR rather than sales handling that on the front end and moving them to a principal, let's say in a startup or a really micro business. And that outbound email and cold outreach by the rep precedes adding salespeople, right? So we don't add salespeople to add sales. We do more marketing, more cold outreach to generate leads and appointments for sales so that their schedule is full with leads and appointments, right? That doesn't mean that they have to have a full schedule of appointments all the time, but at the very least, they've got a lead base and they are dealing with prospects. They've already know who in the company, who the decision maker is. They get that from, again, email or BDR, SDR team. They find out that there's a pain point, obviously, that there's some interest in your products or services, right? Now I want sales to handle that, right? But as a general overriding rule, I want the marketing first, lead generation and appointment setting, then we add salespeople, right? Okay, so now let's talk about a company that has some salespeople already that are account executives, account managers, meaning they are building or have built a customer base and they are always selling to that customer base, whether they're refilling inventory, cross-selling, upselling, all those kinds of things. So you've got 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 reps, doesn't matter. How do you think about now implementing more marketing and more effort to generate more leads and appointments for that existing sales team? So if that sales team structure is ROIing for you, in other words, if they're getting the numbers they need to get for the most part, right, I want to add a layer of outbound automated email and again, maybe BDR, SDR to do cold outreach on behalf of those salespeople to drive them more leads and appointments so that they are spending more time with prospects, decision makers, people that have a pain point than they are doing research and cold outreach. I don't want sales teams in the United States, especially high salaried sales teams, doing that kind of work. Again, with the exception of the examples I gave earlier. Okay, so that is how you have to think about building everything in terms of business development process and a system to generate leads and appointments for sales. So then when do you add salespeople and when should sales deal with inbound leads? Some situation I'll talk to a company and one nuance of this or one example of a way to tweak this is you use automated email, drive inbound leads. Those inbound leads go to sales, and then they have a BDR team or BDRs who are doing cold outreach to niche audiences to help add more leads and appointments for that sales team, right? So the salespeople can deal with their own leads in some cases, and it does make sense sometimes. When we build email structures for clients and run email for clients, a lot of times for more mature companies, we're building a full-blown campaign and even a dedicated server for each sales rep, and they're generating, that's generating a handful, 5, even more than that, leads per day for that sales rep. So that's giving them inbound leads, and then they've got a BDR team doing dedicated cold outreach on behalf of those sales reps to generate even more leads and appointments for them, right? But again, the goal, however we framework this, is we want the sales team to be doing as little research and cold outreach as possible. We want to make them more efficient to get you more or higher ROI out of your sales team. Okay? Hopefully that helps you. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We can help you with recruiting and training reps. We recruit territorial or in-house local reps for clients in the United States. We recruit remote reps for clients. reps in the United States. We recruit Latin America, over 40 countries for remote reps to do cold outreach, a little less expensive, obviously, in that regard. We can help with email marketing. We have 2 different tech stacks we run. We can send anywhere from 50,000 to 125,000 a month to drive inbound leads for you. And then, of course, if you need full-blown consulting, let's say you're a startup and you need really an entire plan from scratch, we can help you with that as well. Okay, so visit our website, kevinmdowney.com. Thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. And best of luck with business, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.